This is CBS 12 News at 5.
Right now, we're under a tornado watch, and with good reason. 3 have touched down already, and there may be more. Roads are flooded, horses are trapped, and graduation has been canceled. CBS 12 is the one to turn to for severe weather coverage, and it all starts right now. Those tornadoes touching down in the Acreage, Belglade, and rural southwest Palm Beach County. Good evening, everyone. I'm Liz Quinantes.
And I'm John DeCepolo. That tornado that Liz mentioned in the Acreage, an EF1 with wind speeds of 100 miles per hour. CBS 12 Storm Team has you covered tonight with reports from some of the hardest hit areas like Loxahatchee, the Acreage, and Okeechobee. But first, let's get right to meteorologist Michael Ehrenberg. He kicks off our team coverage now at 5. Michael?
Okay, guys, we continue to have a tornado watch in effect until 10 p.m. tonight. The threat isn't over yet, so it's all of the CBS 12 viewing area. Not only that, but we've got a flood advisory in effect for most of the Treasure Coast until 8 and a general flood watch for the Treasure Coast until 8 o'clock tonight. Let me run down the radar and show you the specific hot spots tonight, mainly across parts of central Palm Beach County at the present time. We'll stop the clock here and take a look at some of this. We've got some rotation actually in parts of northwest Palm Beach County. Don't see the possibility of a tornado nor hail, but nevertheless the storm is rotating. That doesn't mean we couldn't see another brief tornado touchdown just to the north of the Acreage for the evening hours. Here is a look at southern Palm Beach County, Boynton, Delray, Boca. It looks like you had some rain that was heavy. It's now moving off the coast at the present time. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the radar and keep going here on our toolbar on the top. And right here we continue to see we've got a significant weather advisory in effect for that area until the next 20 or 30 minutes or so. Here's North County right now, and we're seeing some really strong storms near PJ Boulevard, the Gardens, Donald Ross Road, and also near Jupiter. That's lifting offshore, but again, there's more back to the south and west of you. Here again, that flood advisory for all of you in the eastern sections of St. Lucie County, Martin, and also Indian River County, which goes on until about 8 o'clock tonight. And Okeechobee County, also in this green box, you also have a flood advisory as well because of all the standing water, even though it's not raining now, still some flooding to go before it's all over with. Of course, this all due to Tropical Storm Andrea tonight, about to make landfall in the Florida Panhandle with more bands of rain rotating our way. More on Andrea, the radar, and our 70 forecast coming up later.
Thank you, Michael. And here's a look at some of the damage that one of those tornadoes caused in the Acreage this morning. Within the past hour, the Red Cross has opened one shelter on Southern Boulevard. More on that in just a moment. But first, CBS 12's Craig Gold is live in the Acreage and continues our team coverage. Craig?
Yeah, we're catching a break right now in between the rain bands, but that doesn't matter. This is ground zero for where the tornado did hit this morning shortly after 7 o'clock. The damage already done. One house after another along 78th Place in the Acreage, the tornado leaving its mark. Flipped boats, cars blown off their driveway, a carport wrapped around a tree, and trees snapped in half.
I didn't hear it coming.
Richie Cronsage didn't even hear it coming, but when it arrived, it took him for a ride. Unhooking his outdoor umbrella as the storm was approaching, he and the umbrella picked up and thrown into his pool. You were airborne?
Airborne, totally airborne.
What's going through your mind?
Like I said to my daughter, I really didn't even have time to think.
Richie somehow left without a scratch. His next-door neighbor also left unharmed, but not his boat and the rest of his backyard.
28-foot boat sitting upside, don't know what kind of damage yet. My shed used to be over here.
Now his shed and everything inside is over here in pieces.
Glad I wasn't outside in this. You know, I think everybody's safe. That's the most important.
None who lived on this block seriously hurt, but somewhat shaken up, certainly thankful and somewhat baffled by how quick it all happened and how certain things were left untouched.
My Harley's standing right where it is, and all this is gone.
So the National Weather Service out here earlier today doing their preliminary survey. Here's what they think. They say that the storm was about the width of a football field and could have been on the ground for about a mile. Again, that tornado threat still exists for the area until about 10 o'clock tonight. Live in the Acreage, Craig Gold, CBS 12 News.
Thank you, Craig, for that live report. Again, the Red Cross has opened a shelter to help Palm Beach County residents impacted by Tropical Storm Andrea. The shelter is at Palms West Alliance Church on Southern Boulevard. That's in Loxahatchee. Red Cross volunteers are providing food and water to those impacted by the storm, as well as a place to cool off from the heat.
And the chainsaws are out and the cleanup is underway in the acreage. The National Weather Service now confirming our tornado did in fact touch down there earlier today. All of this coming from feeder bands off Tropical Storm Andrea. Our team storm coverage continues now with Josh Repp in the acreage.
I want to show you some of the destruction that tornado caused in this neighborhood. Now, this is one of many properties that has damage, but the wind's too much for even a horse trailer to stand upright. The wind's knocking it over. Now, we spoke to families living across the street who tell us when it came by, it sounded like nothing they've ever heard before. The trees are down, the chainsaws are out. The Acreage neighborhood near Key Lime and 130th Trail starting to clean up.
You could hear stuff hitting the house.
The Gonzalez family say they heard a tornado, and it's unlike anything this Florida boy has ever heard before.
Like, I've been through hurricanes, but you hear these winds, like, what is that? I mean,
Something you've never heard before.
Never heard that before, so.
Could you describe it?
It kind of sounded like a freight train, like you were saying. And just like really loud, like that whistle kind of sound too.
Megan rushed her kids into the bathroom.
It was just a loud, like, wind, heavy wind, strong. You could hear it.
Afterward, they came out and saw the damage.
Part of the tree went through the front bedroom. So it was kind of, that part was shocking to see what had actually happened.
Meanwhile, stop signs are twisted, boats flipped over, and families take pictures of their homes to document for insurance purposes.
Yeah, let them come out here and see what we can do, and after that, we'll start cleaning up, you know. I've been through hurricanes here before, so I'm used to this damage.
Meanwhile, friendly neighbors doing what they can to help make cleanup easier.
Help. We'd hope that they would do the same for us.
And local law enforcement officials have the roads closed to local traffic only as the cleanup continues. Now, here, this property, this fence was blown clear off of its hinges. Despite all the destruction you've seen, good news to report, only one injury. I'm Josh Repp reporting in Western Palm Beach County.
And here's a look right now at Florida Power and Light's power tracker map. The power situation is looking much better now than it did just a few hours ago. Coming up at 5:30, we'll have a live interview about FP&L's efforts to get the power back on to some of the hardest hit areas.
And our team coverage continues now. The storm also hitting our area's equestrian community. One horse died after it appears it was struck by lightning. Nearly a dozen other foals in Loxahatchee were in such grave danger they had to be moved because of the flooding. CBS 12's Lynn Gordon is in Loxahatchee.
The folks here at Pure Thoughts Horse Rescue thought they had escaped the worst of it, but came out about 7 o'clock this morning and discovered the area where their foals were, the paddock and stalls, completely flooded. Newborn foals just 2 to 4 months old. They already had to be rescued from a horse farm in Kentucky. Now they're being moved from a horse rescue in Loxahatchee because of flooding in their pens.
When we came down in the baby's pen over there, we had done the pine straw, and then the shavings on top of it, they were all just huddled like on a little island.
Jennifer Swanson and her husband Bruce own Pure Thoughts Horse Rescue in Loxahatchee Groves. They saved 35 foals from certain death earlier this year. 11 of them were here, but now only 10 remain.
When we were here at 2:30 in the morning, when we came down and checked on everyone was fine, and then 7:30 we saw one head collapsed, and it's obviously she was hit by lightning.
Swanson put out a cry for help on Facebook, and immediately offers to take the foals in temporarily began pouring in.
We have to move the babies because it was just Brad and I this morning, and getting 11 babies who are terrified of big piles of water or big areas of water into the barn. That alone took about 45 minutes.
Swanson went through a similar situation with Isaac last August and can't believe it's happening again.
It's like if Mother Nature would just cut us a break. Just 1 year, cut us a break.
Pure Thoughts Rescue hopes to have the foals back here in their pen by sometime next week. But with the rain forecast over the next few days, the situation could get even worse. In Loxahatchee Groves, Lynn Gordon, CBS 12 News.
And this was the scene today at Lion Country Safari. Downpours from Tropical Storm Andrea on top of last week's rains have left Lion Country pretty wet. CBS 12's Chuck Weber shows us how the animals and visitors there are coping.
I'm here standing in the middle of rhinos and zebras. No, I'm not in Africa. I'm at Lion Country Safari near Loxahatchee under the watchful eye of staff here. As you can see, a lot of water standing here throughout the property. Brian Dowling, Lion Country's general curator, watching to make sure we stay safe, but the animals ignore us, feeding and playing, even in the park's wet pastures.
It's much more of an inconvenience to the people than it actually is to the animals. The animals do quite well.
Dowling says animals are actually more active on an overcast, drizzly day, and they're now reaping the benefits of all the recent wet weather.
The animals tend to graze a lot more when you get weather like this because it promotes a lot of new growth with the grass. As you can see behind us, the zebras and the rhinos, everybody's got their head down and grazing on the new growth.
Lion Country's human visitors, though, find themselves having to negotiate the standing water on the wildlife drive. To compensate, Lion Country reduces admission for today and offers vans to people whose cars sit too low.
Yeah, there was a lot of water.
Sue Watts, visiting from Fort Myers, she and her family had to get a van to drive the park.
It wasn't too bad, though. The van went through it, and we had a great time. A lot of animals.
We still come out here every day, do the same job that we do, whether it's raining, whether it's not raining.
In fact, they let me help out today, tossing a few apples at chimpanzee feeding time. Lion Country Safari staffers say they will be open tomorrow, regardless of how much rain we get overnight. Near Loxahatchee, Chuck Weber, CBS 12 News.
And here's a look at what we know right now. Officials with the National Weather Service are confirming that 3 tornadoes did in fact touch down in Belglade, the Acreage, and in rural southwest Palm Beach County. Those officials are continuing to take a look at the storm damage. Florida Power and Light has their crews spread out across South Florida as they feverishly work to restore power to some of the hardest hit areas and the entire CBS 12 viewing area under a tornado watch until 10 tonight.
We continue our coverage of Tropical Storm Andrea. We are not the only ones seeing rain from that storm. As Michael Ehrenberg just told us, the storm is making landfall shortly, but outer bands are already hitting the state. This is video from Sun City Center, just south of Tampa. Andrea is expected to dump 3 to 6 inches of rain over much of Florida and southeastern Georgia.
Florida Governor Rick Scott is warning residents of Florida to get ready as Tropical Storm Andrea now continues to march towards land. In addition to the rough and tumble weather over the next few days, the Florida Division of Emergency Management is also warning people to be prepared for rip currents and flooding. Let's get right to CBS 12's Stephanie Watson. She's live in the studio tonight with more on what the governor had to say today. Steph?
John, as you and our viewers are well aware, we are already feeling the brunt of Tropical Storm Andrea. Governor Rick Scott telling residents and people visiting the state to get prepared and do it now.
Everybody's got to get ready. 3 days of food, 3 days of water, have radios that you can follow what's happening. Right now, follow the tornado warnings and watches that are out there. Watch the weather. We're going to have some flooding.
And speaking of that flooding, the governor is cautioning people about the flooding to stay out of the flooded areas and don't drive into an area which is underwater. Governor Scott is also telling tourists not to worry and keep their travel plans because Tropical Storm Andrea is expected to pass very quickly. Bottom line, be prepared. Liz?
Good advice. Thank you, Stephanie. If you want to check the weather where you are in between our newscast, it's now easy to do on the go. Just use our new CBS 12 weather app. All you need to do is search WPEC space WX in your app store. For more information, just head to our website, cbs12.com/inside.
And of course, to see all of the pictures from today's weather damage, head to our website, cbs12.com. Look under the breaking news tab, and there we have put together an entire photo gallery.
We are just getting started here on CBS 12 News at 5 o'clock.
Up next, the latest on today's triple tornadoes in western Palm Beach County. Michael Ehrenberg will have the very latest on the severe weather and let us know if the worst is over yet,
or if we will be seeing more of this tonight and into tomorrow. Plus this.
I'm Matt Lincoln live at the American Airlines Arena. I'll give you a taste of what it's like to be here just a few hours before tonight's Game 1.
All right, well, the heat is on. Game on as Game 1 of the NBA Finals tips off from the AAA in just a few hours. Pretty exciting stuff.
Yeah, that's when the Miami Heat will be taking on the San Antonio Spurs in Game 1 of the NBA Finals, as you mentioned.
CBS 12 Sports Director Matt Lincoln has more on the big game.
It's the biggest NBA game of the year, but here at the AAA box office, you can still get tickets.
I was just wondering, are there still tickets available for tonight's game?
There are a few, but far between.
Seats available are in the 400 level, the nosebleeds all the way behind the basket, and they're going for $230. But all the finals gear is a lot cheaper.
I need a new shirt to wear tonight while I'm watching the game, so I bought a shirt that says Finals on it, and on the back it has LeBron James.
James, your favorite player?
Yes, he is. I think he's the world's favorite player, if you don't mind my saying so.
I don't mind at all.
And also, I think that this stuff is just falling off the shelf.
Hats are going for $30, shirts for $25. But for the chance to be here and watch the Heat win Game 1, that's priceless. What do you think is going to happen tonight?
Oh, yeah, the Heat's got it. They got it.
No question, huh?
No questions.
No questions at all.
LeBron's going to take it.
We came all the way from Canada just to watch the Heat game.
Now, if you actually come here today looking for Sunday's games, then you might just be out of luck. They're all sold out except for a few standing room only tickets for Game 2. We shall see what happens here, though, down in Game 1, live at American Airlines Arena in Miami. I'm Matt Lincoln, CBS 12.
Should be a great game tonight, Matt. All right, thank you very much for that report. Sure.
All right, well, here is a look at just some of the storm damage from Wellington this morning. As you can see in this picture, the high winds picked up and moved this trampoline, throwing it on top of a gate. This is a good example of why the Weather Service says to secure loose objects during a wind event like this morning. I'm so glad we just got rid of our trampoline.
Right, exactly, yeah. And I was talking about this with Michael earlier today, and folks, tell me at home that this isn't the case. I woke up this morning to that rain on top of my house. It sounded like a fire hose being...
Yeah, it was heavy.
I mean, yeah, it was loud, it was noisy.
Yeah, I woke up too, and of course, like we know, 3 tornadoes, and that EF1 had winds up to 100 miles an hour.
That was in the acreage.
Yeah.
Yes, tough stuff. And we're not out of the woods yet, guys. We still are under that tornado watch until 10 o'clock tonight. I continue to follow bands of showers and thunderstorms, and some of them do have some rotation. Now, over the last 2 hours, the only thing I've seen are significant weather advisories coming out of the offices of the National Weather Service. So that's some good news here. We've toned down the rotation just a little bit, but this area under a significant weather advisory that's just been ended at the present time. We do see some rotation with a storm there near Jupiter, but I don't think that's going to be a big issue as we wear on through the evening hours. Meanwhile, we zoom on in and show you the area near Royal Palm. There's Southern, Forest Hill, Lake Worth Road, some downpours and gusty winds in your neighborhoods tonight. As we sample some of these cells here, we can see no tornadoes, nothing rotating there, good news, and no hail in that part of Palm Beach County. Here is a look at the southern sections of Martin County at the present time. Some rotation here north and west of Tequesta, but no signs of tornado, at least by our weather software here. More rotation near Jupiter, moving off towards the east to the north right now. No possibilities of a tornado there, and this will continue to affect areas like Jupiter, Inlet, and also perhaps Juno Beach as that shifts offshore toward the north and the east. And those of you that are up along the entire Treasure Coast, you are under that significant weather advisory as well as a flood advisory, which expires at 8 o'clock tonight. Zooming on in, the heaviest rain is near Port St. Lucie, Fort Pierce, and also Jensen Beach at the present time. And we can take a little closer look here and zoom in with our X-Vision technology and get a look at how high up these storms are in the atmosphere. Not too high, but nevertheless, we are still seeing some pretty bad storms there across parts of the Treasure Coast, and that's one of the reasons why we have that flood advisory in effect. Again, all due to the wind shear around Andrea, which is about to make landfall in the Big Bend area of northwest Florida. Here are the coordinates. It's 280 miles from us, top wind 65, gusting on up to hurricane force. And because of that, the entire west coast from Fort Myers north under the tropical storm warning. Of course, we're under that tropical storm, we're under that tornado watch until 10 o'clock tonight throughout our area, so we'll continue to watch the radar vigilantly. The recon plane has been in there this afternoon, and following the path here, you can see winds up to 63 miles an hour, 40 down as far south as Tampa and also Fort Myers, and they're going to continue to fly planes in there this evening. Official forecast track takes Andrea rocketing it through the southeastern states. Could be an issue for residents of the Northeast, the Jersey Shore, and New England, probably as a subtropical or non-tropical low as we head on into the weekend. Computer models in very good agreement with that scenario. We continue to see a lot of moisture come in from the system, even though it's rocketing to the north and east away. And speaking of moisture, here's a look at our forecast model. Between now and Saturday night, we expect an additional Figure 1 to 2 inches of rain. There could be more. So, again, that's one of the reasons why I have that flood advisory up for those of you on the Treasure Coast. So, for tonight, that tornado watch till 10. Showers, storms, some locally strong, 70 to 75 for lows. And for tomorrow, Friday, we continue with the clouds. If you're lucky, you'll see a few breaks of sun in the morning, but we still have a high rain chance tomorrow. Downpours, wind, and lightning will be the issue with tomorrow's storms. I think the tornado threat will be lower tomorrow. Beachgoers, small craft advisory. Next 3 days, we gradually lower those rain chances for the weekend, and with more sunshine, we're pushing 90 by early next week. Coming up at 5:30, another check of the radar.
Thank you, Michael.
Up next, we have more amazing pictures and video to show you from today's incredible storms, including this destroyed tiki bar. We're going to tell you where this happened and why the owner says they're actually surprised it was destroyed.
And another day, another White House scandal. We'll tell you why the administration is once again on the defensive.
Here's a look at more damage from this morning's storms. This destroyed tiki hut shows you just how strong those winds were. The owner of this cypress wood tiki hut says it made it through hurricanes in the past, only to be torn down by a tornado.
Now to a CBS 12 News alert. The White House is defending a government program to collect the phone records of millions of Americans. A senior official says the practice does not allow the National Security Agency to listen in on anyone's phone calls. Britain's Guardian newspaper first reported that a secret court order, which expires in July, is directing Verizon to turn over phone data on a daily basis for millions of consumers, even if they are suspected of no wrongdoing. The contents of conversations are not included in that order. Verizon has not commented on those reports. When this morning's severe weather hit our area, Florida Power and Light hit the road to restore power to the thousands of those who lost it. We'll have a live report on how the restoration process is going and just how many people are without power.
Plus, we'll continue our team coverage tonight with a look at how the storm's impact was felt in Okeechobee County. But first, here's Michael.
And Liz and John continue to track bands of showers and storms this evening in Palm Beach County for residents of Jupiter, Palm Beach Gardens, West Palm, down to Boca. Also on the Treasure Coast, some rain as well. You're under a flood advisory. We'll take a look at street level radar, have the latest on Andrea when I return.
This is CBS 12 News at 5:30.
Now at 5:30, our team coverage of the damage from Tropical Storm Andrea continues tonight, and CBS 12 News has crews spread out all over from Boca Raton to the Treasure Coast. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us. I'm John DeCepolo.
And I'm Stephanie Watson. Let's go ahead and give you a live look at the CBS 12 Storm Track radar. Our team of meteorologists are continuing to track the severe storms in our area.
Let's get right to meteorologist Michael Ehrenberg with more on this. Michael, this morning I woke up and the fire hose was in full effect.
Yes, it was, John. In some parts of our area, you had between 2 and 4 inches of rain. And actually, speaking of fire hoses and a lot of rain, you still have a flood advisory up tonight. For those of you on the Treasure Coast until 8 o'clock, you're also under a flood watch. The entire CBS 12 viewing area under a tornado watch until 10 p.m. tonight. That's because we still have bands of rain, thunderstorm activity rotating on through. Here again, that flood watch for those of you on the Treasure Coast. That includes Vero, Port St. Lucie, Stuart, and on south through the Jensen Beach vicinity. Most of the heavy rain is now shifting offshore, and there's not much back to the south and west of you, not at least now anyway. We go south into Palm Beach County, and we're following some cells continuing for parts of eastern sections of the county. The western areas you've dried out for now, which is good news. And we can see some markers still on some of these cells. Not that much in the western communities, but still some downpours in Riviera Beach, Palm Beach Lakes, Belvedere Road. And these are not showing any signs of anything significant here. No more tornadoes or rotation or no possibilities of hail in those communities. There's Riviera Beach. You can see some of the streets affected, 45th Street. And we'll continue to watch that. We'll continue to see that. There's more rain, though, back down to the south and west of us, still associated with Tropical Storm Andrea. And this all has to rotate through Florida. So, you know what? We're not done yet, even though it might dry out temporarily this evening. There again, that band rotating through the Keys, and we'll be coming up our way as we head on through tonight. There are the coordinates on Andrea. Top wind 65, just about ready to make landfall. And because of that, we do have tropical storm warnings in effect for the west coast of Florida. And again, we all continue with that tornado watch locally until 10 o'clock tonight. More radar, more Andrea when I come back later.
All right, Michael, thank you very much. And today's storms and tornadoes caused power outages across the area. And Florida Power and Light has their crews spread out, assessing the damage and working hard to get the lights back on. Emily Pantelides with Florida Power and Light joins us live right now. Emily, thank you so much for joining us. First things first, how is the restoration process going right now?
Well, we've had a few scattered outages throughout the area. I can tell you right now in Palm Beach County, about 1,830 people still don't have power, but I do want to put that into context for you because we service about 700,000 people in Palm Beach County alone. So you may hear thousands of people are without power, but that actually really doesn't affect the entire number because really we service so many people. However, I will tell you for FPL, even one outage is too many. That's why we will not stop working until every single person has their lights back on.
Emily, at the peak of this storm, about how many people would you guesstimate were without power?
It's very hard to say because the outage numbers change throughout the day, but I can tell you right now, we have about 2,500 crews on the ground right now trying to restore power safely and as quickly as possible.
And we know that FPL is being proactive about being prepared, but is there anything that you could say to our viewers tonight that are watching should they lose power in the future?
Well, perhaps the most important piece of advice I can give is that water and electricity do not mix. So if you're outside and you see a downed power line, don't go near it. Don't try to touch it. Call 911, or you can call us here at FPL at 1-800-4-OUTAGE, and we're going to be with you the entire time throughout the duration of this storm.
All right, Emily Pantelides with Florida Power and Light, thank you so much for your time tonight.
And as severe weather hit the area starting this morning, many CBS 12 viewers helped us out by sending in pictures and videos. Our Thomas Forrester shows us what you sent us.
Severe weather throughout Palm Beach County and surrounding areas. West Palm Beach school buses running on schedule early on, but as the morning progressed, things changed dramatically. Power lines were down all over the county. Heading west to the acreage, homes felt the brunt of high winds. On 87th Street North, tiki huts were destroyed and trees were blown over. Over on 71st Street, horse trailers were also damaged. It was much the same on US 1 in Port St. Lucie. Gusty winds and heavy rains made it difficult to drive. In Loxahatchee, major flooding occurred, trees were uprooted, and major damage to homes, vehicles, and personal belongings. Torrential downpours continued in Fort Pierce Inlet. This video taken around 10 a.m. this morning in Loxahatchee, heavy rain pouring down the side of a house. We want to thank all our viewers who took the time to send us in the pictures and videos this morning. If you have more to share, please send in the news tips at CBS12.com. I'm Thomas Forster, CBS 12 News.
And CBS 12 is the one to turn to. If you see it, shoot it, send it to newstips at CBS12.com. And we'll go ahead and probably put it on the air.
Absolutely.
Right. Well, CBS 12 News is the one to turn to for getting your family hurricane ready.
Tonight, we're talking about your pets. CBS 12's Peter Schall reports on what you need to be thinking about right now before that next big storm hits.
This is what hurricane season can look like and sound like in South Florida. It can be stressful. For families with pets, evacuating, getting out of the storm's way can be challenging. Experts say the easiest way to protect your pets is to make sure they're microchipped right now.
This is the time when they're going to be getting out and running because they're really, really scared. We have a lot of animals that are afraid of thunderstorms, and they're not thinking clearly, and they want to bolt.
When there's a big storm approaching, you have to make plans for your pets. Harmony Animal Hospital here in Jupiter is a last resort shelter. They say if it's possible, it's safest to bring your pet with you.
And they're not going to be as scared. If you leave them here, they're going to be scared, especially because it's going to be crazy here.
Harmony gives first priority to pets that have been here before. Monique Pierpont is the practice manager. She says after that, they'll take pets on a first-come, first-served basis 8 hours before the storm makes landfall. Their building here can withstand winds from a Category 3 hurricane.
And they should take 3 days, at least 3 days worth of water and food with their pets.
Monique says since Hurricane Katrina, many hotels and hurricane shelters have changed their policies to allow pets during storms. Call ahead, plan ahead, and don't forget about your pets. Peter Schaller, CBS 12 News.
Now, for more tips on how to get your family hurricane ready, just visit our website, cbs12.com/hurricane guide. Well, CBS 12 is going road tripping again.
Now that it's summer, the Florida car trips will start, of course. Gary Whittam is helping you locate some of the unique places to take the family road tripping all over the state.
Today, he is in DeSoto County making a stop at a very unique store that never has new inventory, and the stuff they sell is never the same.
You could spend, just about forever looking for antiques online, or you could just come right down here to Arcadia. We're on Antique Row right now, and you'll find antique store after antique store down a bunch of different blocks in downtown. But there's one that's doing housewares from, I don't know, the frontier times? Yeah, we're going to be talking to Amy at Maddie's Antiques.
Antiquing works for Arcadia because Arcadia is very much historical. If it's early American, early 1800s, 1700s, 1600s, that kind of thing, you'll find it here. It's all real stuff. There's no reproductions. So these are all little kitchen utensils that you see here, rolling pins. She does a lot of early American tins. These are our choppers. A lot of people are looking for kitchen utensils for tin. When they come in here, they're looking for wooden bowls, old painted furniture, different things like that. So you can come in and you can get an idea of how to display it, or you can use it for something different. If you want to recycle, buy an antique, because it's been around for years, it's worked, it's done its function, and it's still here. The thing that you leave with most when you leave Arcadia is that it's welcoming, and it is small town America, and it's so worth being here. Even if you just visit for a day, it's definitely worth coming back.
A lot of cool stuff there in Maddie's Antiques, and I've been taking pictures, so they're up on Instagram. You can check it out by searching WPEC CBS 12, and if you want to learn everything about antiquing, Arcadia, Maddie's, you can do it by going to our website, cbs12.com. Just click on that road tripping tab.
And coming up at 7, Gary Whittam takes us to a DeSoto County inn that survived after a fire almost wiped out the entire neighborhood more than 100 years ago.
We're following the very latest developments with today's 3 tornadoes in our area. When we could see all of this come to an end, still to come.
Plus, we've told you about the dangers of clicking on unknown links both online and on your smartphone. But coming up, did you know there's a charger out there that can do the same thing? We'll explain.
Say goodbye to those ultra-low mortgage rates. Rates are expected to climb. Just last week, the average rate on a 30-year fixed-rate mortgage climbed to 3.81%. That's up from 3.3% in early May. Analysts predict the Fed will eventually stop bolstering the housing market. Private investors would then have to pick up the slack, and that means high rates for borrowers.
Well, we've always been told don't talk to strangers, keep your drink where you can see it, and never use anybody else's iPhone charger. All right, let's face it, that third safety rule might not be known, but it might now become common practice now that researchers at Georgia Tech have created an iPhone charger that can actually hack your cell phone and do it in less than a minute. Those researchers will present their new device called MacTans at an IT security conference this coming July. According to them, the product shows how an attacker can hide their software in the same way Apple hides its own built-in applications.
We can't share anything anymore.
Not anymore. You got to be on lockdown 24/7. It's brutal. Up next, our team coverage of today's triple tornadoes continues.
As our meteorologists continue to track showers and storms from Tropical Storm Andrea, will show you when this could be moving out of the area. Meteorologist Michael Ehrenberg is back with us in just a few minutes. Here's a look at what CBS 12 viewers on the Treasure Coast saw today. Driving rains on US 1 in Port St. Lucie, and heavy rains and winds at the Fort Pierce Inlet, and we're not out of the clear just yet.
Not by a long shot. Time now for weather. Meteorologist Michael Ehrenberg is here, and I think what surprises a lot of us is that when we're down here in Florida, and I'm new to the area, but when it comes to hurricanes, you have advanced warning. You have a track, you know where it's going to go. With tornadoes, these things can drop out of the sky, and it's so unpredictable.
Yes, it is so unpredictable. And, Jen, you make a good point because Andrea intensified later last night and this morning, a little bit more wind shear, so we had that tornado threat. And a lot of times when storms move on shore, you know, the winds can slow down because of the friction of the ground, but they go fast up above, and that creates the wind shear and the twisting.
And this is a perfect example of why we always tell everybody to be prepared when we officially start the season, because
it started.
Exactly.
And it started right away this year, so you never know.
Exactly. And yeah, it's going to be a long season, Stephanie. We've got lots of time here. It's only day 6 of the hurricane season. Fortunately, this is not a hurricane, so that is good news there. Right now, we're taking a look outside in downtown West Palm Beach, where it is raining out there. No surprise, right? 79 degrees, and the rainfall today at Palm Beach International Airport, look at that, 1 1/3 inches, a whole lot more than in other parts. Here's some WeatherBug stations. Okeechobee, 3 3/4. You win the rainfall award for today so far. About 2 2/3 there in Fort Pierce. Vero, about 2 1/2, about 1.5 inches there in Port St. Lucie. Those are Treasure Coast sites. We switch over to Palm Beach County. MacArthur Beach, Singer Island, about 1.5 inches. Right around 1 inch there in Boynton at the Quail Ridge Country Club. Pinecrest School in Boca, 0.79. Look at those wind gusts, too. 37 in Boca, 34 in Boynton, and 30 there in Singer Island during mainly morning and early afternoon thunderstorm activity. Still coming down tonight. Here's a look at our CBS 12 storm track radar in various parts of the viewing area. But at least for now, things have quieted down as far as the severe weather is concerned here. But nevertheless, you're still under that flood advisory for the entire Treasure Coast tonight until 8 o'clock. Most of the heaviest rain offshore, so I believe they're probably going to let that flood advisory expire. Again, that's until about 8 o'clock in another couple hours or so. Meanwhile, things have really improved in western Palm Beach County. You're all done, at least for now anyway. We continue to follow areas of rain, lighter rain in Royal Palm Beach. It's ended there. The rains have really dried up there in parts of West Palm Beach, Riviera Beach, and also Mangonia Park. And we take another look actually out towards the west. Because things have quieted down for now, you might be letting your guard down. Well, you don't want to do that because you've got another big band here. This continuing to be from Tropical Storm Andrea, rotating in from the Florida Keys. So we'll watch this through the evening hours. Probably later tonight, we'll be getting more thunderstorm and rain activity. Here's our rapid precision model. Its rendition of things showing that band coming back in overnight tonight for early tomorrow morning as well. Maybe a little break, but tomorrow, scattered showers, storms will be in the plan once again. And the big threat tomorrow, I think, will be downpours, lightning, and gusty winds. Hopefully, it looks like that tornado threat will be lower for tomorrow. Rainfall for the next 48 hours. We'll take a look here. Our model still thinks we could see anywhere from 1 to 3 additional inches of rain. So even though the storm system is going to be heading north and east, there's still a lot of moisture which will be trailing in on the bands from Tropical Storm Andrea. By the way, Andrea is 80 miles from Tallahassee right now, about to move on shore. Top winds are 65 with gusts past hurricane force. Looks like because of that, we still have tropical storm warnings in effect for the western Florida coast for tonight. Again, that tornado watch for all of us until 10 o'clock. Here is a look at the Hurricane Hunter. The recon plane's been in there and finding still 63-mile-an-hour winds there near the point of landfall and 40 to 50-mile-an-hour winds all the way as far south as the Fort Myers area. Here's forecast path moving it on up through the New England states. Could be a rain and wind maker for that area. Computer models are very tightly clustered, so a high confidence forecast in that track. For us for tonight, we're all going to be getting a little bit of a break, it looks like, at least for a few hours, but showers and storms will come back in overnight tonight. Some could be locally strong, 70 to 75 for that overnight low temperature. For tomorrow, the clouds persist, occasional bands of showers and storms. Downpours, wind, lightning will be tomorrow's concerns, with highs tomorrow in the mid-80s. Beachgoer small craft advisory. The seas have been choppy out there, and no reduction in that tomorrow, with winds south at 10 to 20 knots. Next 3 days, we try to get rid of the moisture a little bit each day. Notice your weekend, 50% rain chance. We're down to 40% as we head on into Sunday. And as we take a look at the next 7 days, by next week, the sun will be out more. We return to a normal summer pattern. That means sunshine and a couple of showers or storms scattered here or there with rain chance at 30%. But with that sun, it's June, and we're pushing 90 by much of next week. Coming up at 6, another check of our radar and the latest on Tropical Storm Andrea.
All right, not out of the clear just yet tonight. Thank you, Michael.
We'll be right back.
And that does it for CBS 12 News at 5:30.
Now here's Liz with a preview of what's coming up at 6.
John and Stephanie, Tropical Storm Andrea is hours away from landfall in northwestern Florida, but we're not out of the woods here. Michael Ehrenberg is monitoring the rainfall we're getting now. and what's still to come. And we are on damage watch after 3 confirmed tornadoes touched down here, leaving a path of destruction. We have live team coverage on the cleanup. And rain or shine, Miami Heat fans are getting excited for Game 1 of the Miami Heat versus the San Antonio Spurs tonight. CBS 12's Matt Lincoln is live at the AAA with a preview. John and I are coming right back in just a few minutes with those stories and more next.